Hello, everyone. Welcome today. Glad that you could join us on a Friday afternoon. Um, we are going to start with a short intro of the video about our organization, and then I would hand it over to Mr. Lacey.
Welcome to today's session, everyone.
We are Pre-Med CC, a student-led organization established in the fall of 2021.
Our goal as an organization was to create an online program for pre-medical students at community colleges and universities, with the hope of guiding the next generation of diverse and inclusive physicians.
And while we advertise our organization as being for community college students, our events are open to anyone.
We realize that finding guidance and mentorship in a pre-med journey can be especially challenging for first-generation pre-med students,
people that lack the financial resources, or just those who do not know people in the medical field.
One of the best parts about our events is that they are virtual, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home.
We typically have events on Fridays from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 12:30 Pacific Standard Time.
If you aren't able to attend the event, all of our sessions are uploaded on our YouTube channel.
Many of our sessions will end up with a Q&A with the speakers.
Any questions that you have, you may put it in the Q&A session on Zoom, and our team members will read them and have them answer.
After you have attended our event, you can log into our website and complete the quiz, which will contain questions pertaining to our session today.
If you score 70% or higher on the quiz, you will be awarded a certificate to show that you attended our session today.
If you want to stay connected with the upcoming events or just want to tell your pre-med friends about the Pre-Med CC, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as @PreMedCC.
Alrighty, welcome everyone again, and we're going to get started. We're honored to have Mr. John Lacey today, who has over 20 years experience in the pharmacy industry, meaning that he started when he was 7, right? Joke. And he's been and he has strong business ties in the pharmaceutical community. He has been with KGI since March 22, and has been instrumental in growing the PharmD program and make the visibility of KGI pharmacy, doctor of pharmacy program grow. And before that, he was the director of career services at American Career Colleges, and he's had multiple responsibilities, with one of them overseeing 1,200 students across 10 programs. He started his career as a pharmacy tech at Kaiser Permanente and has worked in as a pharmaceutical sales rep. He has a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership from Azusa Pacific University. And when he's not working, he spends time with his friends and families and his dogs. And he has a 1967 Volkswagen microbus. So we're glad that you're able to join us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Johnny Lacey, and I'm really pleased to be here with you guys today. I work for Keck Graduate Institute. We are one of the Claremont colleges. So let me go ahead and start this slideshow. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of our Doctor of Pharmacy program, how we have an amazing community college to Doctor of Pharmacy pathway. And then at about 5:30, I'm going to introduce you to a few of my alumni, doctors in the field. They work in different sectors of the pharmaceutical industry and pharmacy, and they're going to share a little bit about their pathways. And then from there, we're going to open it up to Q&A. So for right now, for the first half hour, I'm not going to take any questions but you can put them in the chat, and then we'll get going on all those questions and get everything answered. So let me go ahead and share my screen and make sure that this is going to work for you all. All righty. So once again, my name is Johnny Lacey. I'm an admissions outreach representative for Keck Graduate Institute School of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Welcome to my webinar, Your Future as a Pharmacist. Today, I'm going to give you an overview of our pharmacy program and the pathway that allows students the ability to apply directly from community college. This is an amazing opportunity because if you finish up your classes in 2 years, you can finish up your Doctor of Pharmacy in an additional 4 years, and it saves a lot of money, and it allows you to start your career earlier. Please take down my email address. I am available at any time to help you guys. It's jlacey@kgi.edu. So a little bit about where Claremont is. Claremont's a city in Los Angeles County. We're actually 30 miles east of downtown in the Pomona Valley, which is in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. Claremont's an amazing college town. It is historic. It is known for its tree-lined streets. And actually, the Claremont colleges were founded by Pomona College in 1877. So this is a beautiful area. We are known for our village with beautiful boutiques, bars, restaurants, and it's really where all of the Claremont College students get together and hang out. And Claremont is known as the city of trees and PhDs. So it really is an amazing college town. Of course, you're close to Los Angeles, the beach, and Orange County, as well as the beautiful San Gabriel Mountains. We are the 7th and newest member of the Claremont colleges. We're also known as the 7 Cs because there are 7 private colleges. We share a wide range of central facilities and services. We are the newest member, and we just celebrated 25 years as an innovative college of the applied life sciences and healthcare. And we are a smaller campus, but you still get all of the amazing benefits and services of a large university. As you can see below on this slide, there is Harvey Mudd and Pomona College. If you did not know, those are considered some of the Ivy League of the West Coast, as well as Scripps, Claremont McKenna, and we are the 2 graduate schools, KGI and Claremont Graduate University. Really proud of our college. For time's sake, I'm not going to go through everything, but we really are here to enrich society with breakthrough approaches to education and translational research in healthcare and the life sciences. And I like to let everybody know that we've got amazing biopharmaceutical engineering program as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our no-cost summer programs that are open to community college students. No cost, they can be done on campus or online. So it's an amazing way to look at certain careers and programs before you make some decisions. So we are definitely a college that is diverse, and we are really trying to advance diversity and equity in higher education and providing amazing opportunities. And so we have some really great dedicated scholarships that are generous and really can help those that struggle with finances, and that's their barrier. And we're here to break down those barriers. So please know that we're committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have over 50 diverse student clubs. They're always having a party for some different organization or club, and really honoring all of our differences. So at KGI, you're going to be part of a community that uplifts one another, and it's of like no college you've ever seen. A little bit about our campus. I just like some visuals, so I threw in a couple of pictures. This is here facing our Oasis Commons. These are actually the apartments. They feature a pool, fitness center, 10,000 square feet of classroom space, even a meditation Zen room. These are pet-friendly apartments, so you can bring your fur babies that will help you gain your doctorate or master's degree here at KGI. I'll skip through some of these pictures, but this is just more of our campus. Here is a really nice area. This is the 555 building. This is a beautiful area. It's all brand new. This is where you're going to work with the physician assistants, the occupational therapists, and the genetic counselors, because they do interprofessional training here. But this is where you can study, hang out. This building also has classrooms, medical office exam rooms, a hospital emergency room. And like I said, you will do interprofessional training here at KGI, as well as with the medical students at UCR. So great opportunities, unlike some of the other Doctors of Pharmacy programs. Here's a little bit more. We've got a state-of-the-art anatomy and physiology lab that boasts anatomage technology, which is a virtual cadaver. But this area also connects into some place that's very important, the kitchen, a dining room, and an outside dining room, as well as your restrooms. Here's another view of our pool area at our Oasis Commons. Those are the apartments that are right on campus, and we hold a lot of events here, so get ready to party. So let's talk a little bit about this community to college pathway. So this program does not require students to have completed a bachelor's degree. So students can complete all of their prerequisite classes at a community college level. So one of the best advantages, like I said, it's to save time and money. And I really implore students at community college to work with their counselors to ensure that they can finish up those prerequisites in 2 years. And then you can apply to KGI's Doctor of Pharmacy program and be a doctor of pharmacy, a subject matter expert in everything medication in 4 years. So for community college students, we also have benefits, including a free online summer pharmacy prep program. This is a 5-day online or on-campus pre-pharmacy enrichment program. It's really a lot of fun. You do roundtables, you do compounding, you meet with students all around the world. If you're doing the online one, you meet with international students, faculty, pharmacy professionals, and do a lot of fun activities. It looks great on your college application or just your regular career resume. If you do go through our community college student benefit program, you get expedited application review. You get student and faculty mentors. You get access to free summer science prerequisite courses at KGI, as well as dedicated and generous scholarships for community college applicants. We at KGI are going to do our best to ensure that those that have their finances as a barrier, we're going to do our best to help you get into our program. So that is a goal and a value of ours. Here's a little slide about that pre-pharmacy program. Like I said, it's 5 days and it can be done either online or on campus. For anybody who is interested in this program, we are still going to allow students seats right now, either for online or in person. So you make sure that you go to kgi.edu, click on summer programs, and click on prep, pre-pharmacy enrichment program. And I can still get you in. And if you need help, you're going to email me once again at jlacey@kgi.edu. Now, really quickly about those undergraduate science courses, this is really how it works, okay? So if you're missing, let's say you're missing microbiology or you're missing anatomy and physiology, during the summer, we offer some of these programs. They're 8-week summer courses. They're online unless there's a lab. The lab has to be completed on our campus. And you can take one of those programs even if you've been accepted into our program and you're missing a couple classes, we'll still accept you into our program through the interview process, that is. And you can take these classes, and if you matriculate into our program, we will pay for those classes either through a reimbursement or take it right off the top of your tuition. Our presidential scholarships, these are amazing. Okay, they're starting at around $40,000. Between you and I, they are going to range anywhere from $40,000 up to $80,000 right now. As a matter of fact, I still have fall scholarship money. If anybody has their prerequisites done and is interested, these are merit-based. Now, KGI also offers need-based scholarships. So if finances are an additional problem, you can do a needs-based scholarship application. But let me tell you, the presidential scholarships, you're automatically considered when you apply to KGI's School of Pharmacy. You don't need to do anything additional. So this is amazing. If you get accepted into our School of Pharmacy, you will receive your scholarship offering upon acceptance. So you will really know if this is going to be the school for you and if financially it makes sense. Here's a little bit of the prerequisites. Now, this is if you come in with a bachelor's degree, okay? So since you guys are all community college, let's go switch right to these classes from a community college, okay? You would need 2 general bio classes, 2 gen chem, 2 OChem classes, 1 anatomy and physiology with lab. And they have even streamlined the prerequisites, and you can get in with either college algebra, pre-calculus, or trigonometry, 1 class. Then the next 3 buckets, you pick 2 from each of these buckets. So you got science and math here. You have then your social and behavioral sciences, and then you have 2 of your humanities, okay? Because we don't have a lot of time, you can read through all of those, and these are all on my website, and there's a lot of amazing information. But let's keep moving forward so that I can tell you more about the program. Okay, so some of the program highlights and differentiators of KGI. First off, we have small class sizes. So you're not going to be in a huge lecture hall with 250 classes getting lost in the back. You're going to be up there working in teams, working directly with faculty, mentors. You do flipped classrooms. That might mean that you'll watch your lecture the night before, and then the next day when you're in that classroom, you're going to apply that knowledge to hands-on types of application and activities. This is a great way to ingrain what you've learned. And they found it to be a really great pedagogy for learning. Also, we want you to know that while you can go the clinical route, KGI, because we have bioprocessing and we're very, very connected into the biotech and pharmaceutical industries, a lot of our graduates decide to go into the pharmaceutical industry, okay? And today you're going to talk with one of my alumni about that. But what we're known for is a 24-month biopharmaceutical industry fellowship program. What does that mean? That means that when you graduate, you can get picked up by a pharmaceutical company to go and be paid very well while they train you in drug discovery and working at bringing drugs to market. This is an amazing career choice for those that really want to be part of a pharmaceutical industry. Now, the other thing that we're really known for is along with your Doctor of Pharmacy degree and your license, you're going to be able to receive a certificate in one of 4 specialty areas. I'm going to go over those in just a minute. Okay. Here's those certificate program, the program and the 4 different choices. You have pharmacy informatics. This is if you really love databases and running a pharmacy, with electronic medical records, really being able to optimize your patient care and through the use of data and informatics. So for all of you folks that really like IT, this is an amazing opportunity to get this skill set. The other one is healthcare management. You want to be a boss, you want to run a pharmacy, you want to own a pharmacy, you want to be a leader, healthcare management would be for you. If you want to get into the pharmaceutical industry, medical and clinical affairs would definitely put you on that right track. And then there's medication therapy outcomes. This is really your clinical pharmacist. However, it really has a focus on underserved and underrepresented communities where you really work a lot more with your patients, because you are one of the most highly accessible medical professionals that you can just go right up to and any pharmacy and talk to. So you will get your doctor of pharmacy along with one of these certificates. These are give you extra skill set. They give you 9 units of didactic electives. Those are classes, as well as 600 clinical hours in your specific certificate specialty. So if you were going to go into clinical affairs and medical, you would be actually doing some training in the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, let me talk really quickly about our curriculum. Okay, so we have just changed over to an integrated curriculum, okay? And essentially, an integrated sequence course will combine the foundational science content with the clinical and therapeutic content for each disease state and organ. So, for example, if you're studying congestive heart failure, in the morning, you're going to learn about that pathophysiology of that disease, and then you're going to learn about the drugs to treat it, the chemistry and mechanism of the drugs. And in that same day, you're going to have the clinical faculty come in and talk about how to use the drugs safely and effectively in various patient populations. So essentially, the science topics serve as the foundation upon which the clinical topics are built. Once again, this has proven for students to better understand all their courses, just to learn easier. This is a 4-year program. 3 years are didactic. That means that you're mostly in the classroom. And then your last year, you're mostly in pharmacies. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what type of pharmacies you're going to be training in. So you'll complete 10 pharmacy practice experiences. That means you'll be in community pharmacy, you'll be in health system pharmacy, you will be in your electives, ambulatory care, senior chronic care, acute care, direct patient care, and all together, you're really going to have an amazing experience that's going to launch your career and really showcase all the different routes that you can go into, plus so many more. What I would like to really talk to you about right now is a little bit about this career. I think people need to know that this is a huge undertaking. Pharmacy school is rigorous. It's a huge investment, but it's the best investment you can ever make in your life. Your education is the most important thing, and it correlates with the amount of money that you're going to be able to make. The median pay in 2021 was almost $130,000 for a pharmacist. Okay, there are half of the people make a little less, and there's a lot of pharmacists that make a lot more too, because there's a lot of different career choices. Here's a list of your most readily available career choices, I would say, for pharmacists. But let's talk about some really underexplored and emerging pharmacy careers, because you can do a lot with this career, and I don't want everybody to just think that you're going to be just working in community. You could be working in a hospital. You could be a pharmacy professor. You could be working in immunization services. Let's face it, after that pandemic, this is a huge part of healthcare. Everything has gone online. You could be working in online pharmacy services or telehealth. You could work in medical and regulatory affairs. You could even work as a sports medicine pharmacist. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in a minute. And of course, there's been some really horrible problems with substance abuse. And so there's a lot of substance abuse treatment centers that need pharmacists, as well as working in the pharmaceutical industry, working for federal agencies, health organizations, and working in community medicine, really making sure that our communities have health equity, which means that everyone, no matter who they are or where they live, should be afforded the same good health and opportunities. Okay. But let's look at a sports medicine pharmacist, okay? This is an advanced pharmacy profession. So that means you're going to wait until you become a pharmacist, and then you do have to take this program actually takes 6 months to get through the program. You can do it online, and actually you can be working at the Olympics. the Junior Olympics, the Special Olympics. You could be working in your local, any type of sports types of organizations and whatnot. This is really a great way to change up what it means to be a pharmacist. Also, I want you guys to know that at KGI, we do have a genetic counseling master's degree as well as a genomic data analytics master's degree. So pharmacogenomics is just really a new and emerging medication therapy management service that more and more pharmacists will be a part of as this becomes part of the mainstream. And so really, I tell all my pharmacy students, hey, you should be doing research with the genetic students and really learning about precision healthcare and pharmacogenomics. So it's a great way to look at where precision healthcare is going to go by looking at patients' genetic information and how they respond to medication therapies. Okay, so you'll optimize and tailor these types of therapies. It's going to be amazing. So I'm going to go through this really quick, but if you are feeling like you have all your prerequisites done, you can send me your transcripts. KGI will do a complimentary review. Make sure you have everything, all your prerequisites taken care of. And you would apply at pharmcast.org. Okay. The deadline, I believe, has been pushed out to the 31st, and sometimes they push it out into July. We do require a C or better in all of our prerequisite courses. We are working on international student approval right now, but right now everything does have to be through an accredited US institution. We're hoping that's going to change soon and that we'll have amazing international students to be working with. And of course, your science courses must be no more than 10 years old. And we're looking for a minimum of a 2.75 or higher GPA, but all applications are reviewed holistically. You need 3 letters of recommendation. And of course, one of those must be submitted by a professor. Since I'm going through this stuff quickly, remember, you're going to have my information. You can email me with any of these questions. I'm not going to go over any of this, but I do want to let you guys know that we've got a full, amazing financial aid team that can really help you figure out how you're going to fund your Doctor of Pharmacy program. And remember, as soon as you apply, you are automatically considered for our PharmD scholarships. And even if you already had your bachelor's degree, please know that you're still considered for all of our scholarships. Every year we do a scholars night as well. This is where we're going to give out a full ride. Okay, so this full ride has already been given out for this year, but next year we're going to invite the top 12 pharmacy students to a great day filled with activities. You're going to go in and you're going to meet with staff again, and they have games. And at the end, you're going to have a scholarships award dinner. Somebody's going to walk away with almost $200,000 of scholarship. And all the 11 folks that didn't win the grand prize, guess what? You're going to get some more money too. It's amazing. The last thing that I want to talk to you, because I have about 1 minute before I introduce my amazing alumni, is KGI does offer those summer programs. Okay, these are great for some are open to high school students, not all of them. So please tell your family and friends. These are open to undergrad and recent college graduates. And a lot of my summer programs are what I consider exploratory programs, just like the pre-pharmacy. Maybe you're unsure if that's the right career for you. This will help you to better understand if it's the right career for you. But I have physician assistant, occupational therapy, I have genetics, community medicine, I have summer research for those of you that want to get some research on your academic resume and your college applications. You can do research at KGI. And we also have a 5-week bioprocessing internship that you can do in our Amgen lab. And this has a stipend. It pays about $500. And it will allow you to find out if maybe you want to go into bioprocessing. I have a lot of pharmacy prospective students that really love looking at our bioprocessing. So without further ado, I want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to just kind of gloss over KGI. It's a one-of-a-kind school. The Claremont colleges are very well known here in Southern California. If you want a great network, you want a great program, you want to feel part of a community, you will get your pharmacist internship license your first year. You could be working as a pharmacist intern when you have time, maybe during the summer. Guess what? They're making like anywhere from like 25 to like 35 bucks an hour. Help you fund your school. And I'm Johnny Lacey. And if you ever need anything, I worked in pharmacy for many years, so pharmacy is really a part of my DNA now, and I want to help you. So you take down my email address, jlacey@kgi.edu. And without further ado, I am going to turn this over to Dr. Adrienne Descends. I'm going to stop my share. And Adrienne, the floor is yours. Hi, Adrienne. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. How you doing?
Good. And while you talk, you go ahead and then introduce your next doctor of pharmacy. But I think it's great that we're all here with our smiling faces. So take it away, Doc.
Okay, thanks. So I'll just go introduce myself and then go into my discussion first, right? Okay, got it. So hi, everyone. Really glad to be here. My name is Adrienne. I'm an infectious diseases pharmacist with Renown Health in Reno, Nevada. I'm actually an alumni from KGI, graduated in 2020. So the height of COVID, that was fun. So kind of glad we're getting back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy. So just want to talk a little bit about my pharmacy journey. So I guess I'll just kind of start with undergraduate. I started in community college. I was going to Palomar College, which is in San Marcos and Escondido area. I went there for the first couple of years with the plan to transfer to a four-year university. I had my eyes set on UCSD. I had applied there as a high schooler and then didn't get accepted initially. So I decided just to go to community college route, which I'm glad I ultimately did because I felt, I had smaller classes and I enjoyed that aspect. And so I knew that I wanted to go into something with the sciences at that point, but I didn't know exactly what. I knew I liked biochemistry and especially focusing on mechanisms of action of medications. And so that's an area I kind of wanted to go into. I was thinking about veterinary versus human medicine, but I didn't know for sure yet. So when I got to UCSD was around the time that I really started to get into the idea of going to pharmacy school. I decided on pharmacy because I came from, a family of nurses. So lots of people in the medical field. I would be able to work, with medications, get to learn about drug mechanisms of action. So that was really exciting to me. I also like the idea of a structured program rather than doing something like a PhD, which is more, you have like your own like research project that you're doing, but it's a lot looser and structured than something like you take a series of classes and become specialized as a medical professional. And I also knew that I didn't want to be super involved in patient care to the point of being like a medical doctor. So I felt pharmacy was that nice balance. Additionally, I wanted to go into pharmacy because we have so much opportunity to go into pharmaceutical industry. Funny enough, that was the main reason I went to KGI was because of its ties to pharmacy industry. My mom actually had a job. She still works she works for J&J right now, but as a clinical research associate and goes to their sites for clinical trials and make sure they're compliant with their protocols. And she would tell me all these stories. And I was just really fascinated by that. And she said, there's a lot of pharmacists that work with me. That's probably a great way to get a job in the industry. So going to KGI, that was really my primary goal at the time was to go and work in clinical development with a degree in pharmacy. And I knew that KGI had a really strong industry focus because during my time at UCSD, I went to a talk. It was hosted by the American Chemical Society, but one of the former professors at KGI was talking about pharmacogenomics, and I was really just, great speaker, fascinated by the topic. And then they said, hey, we have this new pharmacy school. They didn't have any graduating class at the time. They only had 2 classes, but I really like the idea of a smaller, newer school and the size of industry. It seemed like a win-win to me. So after a gap year from when I graduated from UCSD, I applied for KGI and started as a student in 2016. And it's really going through my time at KGI that I was really truly exposed to all the pathways that there are in pharmacy. And I think that's what I love so much about pharmacy is we're such a diverse field, and you're going to hear that from myself, Carolyn, and Rajan is just like, we're all doing completely different things, but we're all pharmacists. And so I got to learn about clinical pharmacy in hospital setting, community pharmacy, and things that I never really had been exposed to before. And when I started going to rotations in the hospital and doing clinical and therapeutics classes, I said, this is super interesting. I never really realized just how much a role pharmacists play in the clinical setting. And I started to kind of worry that I was like, well, if I go into industry, I might miss out on kind of the clinical aspect in patient care. And so what I ultimately decided to do in my 3rd year of pharmacy school was go and pursue pharmacy residency at an acute care hospital. And I did that because you still get the opportunity to participate in research. There's a required research project that you need to do as part of your residency, but you also get to focus on patient care and keep a diverse knowledge base as a clinical pharmacist. So I ultimately applied for several places on the West Coast because this is where my family is, and matched with the residency program here in Reno, Nevada at Renown Health. And I've stayed there since, actually, for my 1st and 2nd years of residency. I chose to specialize in infectious diseases because going through school, I really enjoyed the class, and I had an advanced practice rotation in my 4th year of pharmacy school. And it was something that I really felt a passion for, and I felt that I had a natural talent for as well. And so I decided to pursue that in my 2nd year. And I just really jive well with the team here at Renown Health. It's a very pharmacy forward healthcare system, and pharmacists are heavily involved in patient care. And so I was excited to be able to stay on and study to become an ID pharmacist, and also stay on as an ID pharmacist working with my former preceptor. And so now we're working as colleagues and helping to improve antimicrobial use at our hospitals because we have multiple hospitals in the system. One note about my current job and something that you might be interested in is I still get to participate in patient care. I get to go see patients. I get to see wounds, for example. I talk with physicians on a daily basis about antimicrobial therapy for patients. I answer questions from both pharmacists and physicians if they have it. And that's probably my favorite part of the job, is really to be able to participate so heavily in that care. And I also still get to do research too. On a daily basis, I am doing quality improvement projects. I'm also, studying new literature that's coming out and how we're going to implement changes in our hospital setting. And so if that's something that you're interested in, like you still want to be part of the healthcare team, but not necessarily a doctor, I think going that pharmacy residency route is a great way to go. And you may have the opportunity to do a 2nd year of residency and specialize even further if that's something that you're interested in. And I think that kind of leads me to where I am today. We're going to take questions now or after?
I think what we'll do is we'll let each person talk. There's no questions that came through, but I want to ask you one question. What is the toughest part of being an infectious disease pharmacist? Is there a real challenge? And if so, what is it to you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would say just antimicrobial stewardship in general, it can be very frustrating in the sense that a lot of it is education. You know, there's sort of lots of new guidelines coming out, new research, and sometimes providers who are taking care of the patients are not going to have the time to be as up to date with this literature as you may be. And so it's really taking the time to try to talk to the providers, and sometimes it could be very resistant to change, and it could feel sort of like you're failing, like, okay, I wasn't able to optimize this patient's antimicrobials, and you might have the same conversation again and again and again and again. It feels like you're not getting anywhere. I would say that's definitely the toughest times that I've had, you know, with certain providers. But on the flip side, you know, when you do get those wins and you finally have sort of meet in the middle with a provider, have that understanding, it's really such a wonderful feeling to know that you were able to help them, you know, optimize their practice. And, you know, maybe like all those conversations, even though you felt like they didn't amount to anything, really did make a difference. But still, going through that process can definitely be pretty tough, I'd say.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's some good insight. It really kind of takes that psychology to be working with the MDs and really, you know, educating them. And I could see that being, you know, it could be a challenge. So anyway, I bet you do amazing because you just have such a great way about you. So, all right. Well, Dr. DeSense, thank you so much. Will you please introduce your colleague and your comrade, Mrs. Saba Avenel, for me?
Yes, and so this is Dr. Carolyn Saba Avenel. Sorry, I'm not used to introducing people. Okay. So
I'm changing it up today.
So she is going to tell you about the pharmacy industry route that pharmacists can take. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Welcome, Dr. Saba Abenil. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Adrian, Dr. DeSense. So I like to switch it up a bit. I'm not coming from the clinical pharmacy perspective. I'm coming from a totally different perspective of pharmacy work, but I will get there. But in the meantime, just to kind of give an overview of my career path, I actually graduated from Azusa Pacific University right down the street from Claremont with my chemistry degree, and back in 2017. And when I was a student there, I was already working in pharma. I was doing a lot of research and bench work, and was able to publish a couple of abstracts and manuscript while I was an undergrad student. And after I graduated undergrad, I naturally transitioned to working in the industry. I worked in 3M and Amgen. And while I was there, I took a kind of like a year off. And I really wanted to experience like the work life after undergrad. So I was just like, I'm not going to go to graduate school. I'm just going to work and see how that would go. And I did exactly that. But while I was doing a lot of like bench work research, you know, doing quality control, quality assurance, working in the heart of manufacturing within the industry, I felt like I hit the ceiling a little bit with learning. Like every day is kind of just like the same thing. You're doing a couple of batches each day. It's different batches every day, but it's just kind of like robotic work. And I feel like I couldn't really find purpose and motivation into what I'm doing. And thank goodness that my superiors actually have a PharmD where I was working in Amgen, and Amgen has a pretty good connection with KGI. Way back, even now, I mean, even way back when, they still maintain that strong relationship. Hence why I was able to go to learn more about KGI, and I actually went to KGI to fulfill a couple of my prereqs to fulfill pharmacy school requirements, not just KGI, but also the other Southern California pharmacy schools. So in terms of really looking into different pharmacy schools, I like when I was in undergrad, there's only 5 of us that are chemistry majors, and I really like that one-on-one or like a ratio of faculty to student. So even though I applied to big university, big class like USC, I still highly value that ratio because I feel like I learn the best. And so I put KGI on top of the list because of that, because I really prioritize learning. And not only that, KGI has always established, it's very well known in the industry space, especially where I was working in Amgen. KGI alumni tend to transition really well to a lot of the industry companies here in Southern California. So I put it up in the list. I went into pharmacy school really wanting to come out as a industry pharmacist. So while I was a student, as you probably, Johnny had already outlined, KGI had different certificates. So I took the industry route like Dr. Descens right here. I took the medical and clinical affairs, and I was able to get rotations to other industry companies. And that's where I really found my niche, which is in health economics and outcomes research. So in your 4th year of pharmacy school, you're able to kind of rotate to different sites, and that includes being in the industry and kind of really finding where you fit into the bigger picture of pharmacy and whether you're going to pursue residency or a fellowship. For myself, I decided to pursue a fellowship. I moved all the way from Los Angeles to Philadelphia, so I'm in Philly right now. I'm about to finish my 1st year of fellowship in HEOR. I actually transition on Monday to my 2nd year. So I'll be with Teva Pharmaceuticals doing health economics and outcomes research and finishing my 2nd year. So just kind of a background, health economics and outcomes research, it's a lot of research, but a pharmacist perspective to it, health economics, it's like a lot of data work, a lot of putting together an unsorted spreadsheet and making sense of it. Does the clinical trial data that we see in studies, is that aligning with real life? Is that aligning with what we see in patient care? We kind of are able to get data from that and piece the bridges together. So that's what we do as HEOR professionals. And that's what I do now. And what I love about it is because I'm a numbers girl. I like looking at data. I think yesterday I just got a spreadsheet with 1 million data points that I have to analyze. So I like looking at that. I like cleaning up my data and start doing graphs, start coding, and putting a story together. So I found that about myself in KGI actually while I was doing all of my rotations. So
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
Were you a numbers gal all the way back to like elementary?
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
But as you've progressed, you've just realized that this is really a true strength, or did you always know that?
I think I didn't think it was a strength. I was just like, I think I'm a science girl, because in science I don't know, mathematics seems kind of dry. Whereas science, there's still a little bit of practicality into it, especially in the medical, patient care. As I was going through my rotations in 4th year pharmacy school, when I did my HEOR rotation, completely by pure accident, because I didn't get my first choice, my preceptor really opened me up to this new functional area of HEOR. So I didn't really find out that I fit into this space until KGI placed me in that rotation. So I hope that could be the same for, of course, the attendees here. KGI, when you attend KGI, it has so many variety of certificates. You'll find your niche in it, whether it's clinical, industry, business, or IT pharmacy. So I like the uniqueness of the program and
awesome.
able to really kind of, what do you call this, be more modern, because we are living in a ever-changing world. So yeah, so that's my story.
Awesome. Well, gosh, thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you want to impart to our attendees right now?
Don't be afraid. I feel like if we did it, you can do it. And really, it's just a matter of taking that step. So don't be afraid and just do it. It's like what people say before YOLO.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Will you please introduce our next prestigious doctor?
It would be my honor.
Awesome. Hey, Rajan.
Dr. Veja. Dr. Veja I've looked up to these two because I graduated in 2022. So they graduate way before I did, and I looked up to these people throughout my pharmacy school. So it's an honor introducing, being introduced and introducing them. So Dr. Veja, he's definitely one of the people out there making a difference within the field of pharmacy. So really, making a difference in the profession. So without further ado, I'd like to pass on the microphone to one of my mentors, Dr. Veja.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hey, Johnny, Dr. DeSense, good to see you as well. One of my favorite parts about pharmacy before I get into what I do is the fact that pharmacy is such a small and just conducive community. We're always supporting each other, and to be able to train with each other as student pharmacists and now to be pharmacists and seeing all the amazing things both of you are doing. I mean, it's just a privilege just to be on the same panel with you both. So just want to say hello to that. And I'm going to jump right into it. I know we are probably kind of keeping on time. So I wanted to give a quick introduction to who I am, kind of where I've come from. I am also that person that likes to distract people as I'm talking. So I do have some slides for you just because this is something that I do pretty often. And also I'm not as good looking as the other two pharmacists I just presented. So this will distract you away from me as well. Well, before I jump into the slides, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to myself. So my name is Rajan Vaidya. I grew up in Orange County in Anaheim. Went to community college, Fullerton Community College, got my associate's degree there and transferred to UC San Diego. And I'll go more into depth of kind of what I did in my career path. But when Johnny asked me to come and speak to the community college program, I am such a huge proponent of community college. I would not be who I am today without community colleges. I think that's where I really grew and understood where I would fit into not only my career, but my profession and also my community as a whole, right? And so it was a privilege to go to Fullerton Community College. I actually was invited the day after I graduated pharmacy school. I was invited to actually go speak as a keynote speaker back to my community college where I graduated from. And that was probably the pinnacle of my career, is going back and speaking with some of my peers there. But with that being said, I'm going to jump quickly in. I just have a few slides to help with some visuals, kind of what I do, where I've come from. So I mentioned, I started off in community college, but my pharmacy career actually started right before that. I actually took a pharmacy technician program my senior year of high school, became a pharmacy technician, and was hired on at a hospital as a pharmacy technician, doing sterile compounding, specifically making IV preparations. So those IVs that patients would get from their medications, usually antibiotics and a few other things. While I was doing that, I went to community college at Fullerton College, got my associate's degrees in economics, mathematics, and chemistry, and then decided that I wanted to get a chemistry bachelor's. So I got my bachelor's of chemistry from UC San Diego, so I can appreciate another chemist on the panel as well. And then from there, decided that I loved what I did as a pharmacy technician. I absolutely loved the fact that I could interact with patients. I could go to their floors, speak to some of the patients, but I also realized as a pharmacist, I could do a lot more. I could directly impact the way the patients would get not only their medications, but also the care that they deserved. And so because of that, I decided I really wanted to go to pharmacy school. So I applied to pharmacy school and applied to KGI and a few other schools. And of course, I went to KGI and I was actually admitted in the inaugural class. So I was the first class to graduate from KGI. And I say this with pride, but I also have this as pride. I was the first person to get a doctorate of pharmacy from KGI. I walked across the stage first. So I hold that privilege as well. And I love the fact that I get to say that. And while I was at KGI, the hospital I worked at as a technician, they promoted me to an intern pharmacist. So I worked there as an intern pharmacist, got recruited to a different hospital while I was at a pharmacy conference. They said, hey, we want you here. What can we do? And so I got recruited to a different hospital, started working in West Covina at Queen of the Valley. And then as I graduated pharmacy school, I decided I kind of wanted to go into this non-traditional path, right? So Dr. Sababaniel and Dr. DeSense both talked about some great pathways that you have. And then the part I love about pharmacy is there's so many different ways to get involved. And so I went down this non-traditional path, which is called association management or advocacy. And so to do that, I actually decided to do an executive residency with the American Pharmacists Association in DC. So I applied for the position. There was only one that's selected in the country, and I was lucky enough to be selected. And I spent a year in DC training on how, as a pharmacist, you can help advocate for your patients and also our profession. So how do we translate pharmacy to those that don't speak pharmacy, right? The legislators, the regulators, the senators, the assembly members, the board of pharmacy, the health department, those that are making decisions on how we get to take care of patients. How do we help them understand what we need to do? And from that, after I finished my executive residency in DC, I got recruited back over to California. California said, hey, we want you back. So I got hired on at the California Pharmacists Association as a director of pharmacy practice and policy in 2019. And then 2020, I got promoted up to the vice president of practice and professional development. And then early in 2023, I now have 2 titles because one title wasn't enough. So I'm also the executive director for the CPHA Foundation, which is an educational foundation that supports pharmacy and pharmacy practice. And so that is a really quick 17-year overview of kind of where I've come from. But I did want to delve into a couple things that Johnny mentioned during his talk about some of the API experiences, our rotation experiences. So I'll just highlight 2 very quickly. One of them, I got to do a rotation with the US Assistant Surgeon General. She was a pharmacist, second in charge in the country for Health and Human Services. Rear Admiral Pam Schweitzer, she invited me to do a rotation. So I was in Baltimore at the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So all the way on the East Coast, that's where I kind of fell in love with the East Coast for a little bit and got to do a phenomenal rotation there through my training as a pharmacist. And then I decided from there, I wanted to learn a little bit more about policy and process and how to make laws. So I did a rotation with the state senator, Jeff Stone, who helped me kind of understand a little bit more as a pharmacist, how do we help, again, translate pharmacy to those that may not have a background in pharmacy or healthcare. And through all of that, I mean, pharmacy has taken me in so many different places. So the picture on the very left is actually my rotation I did in Hawaii. And so I went literally from Hawaii to DC in my 4 years of pharmacy school. And it was a privilege to go through that process. I think the question I always ask myself, right, if you were to do this all over again, would you? And there's no doubt 100% that if I had to do this all over again, I would choose pharmacy time and time again, and I choose KGI time and time again. I think I developed as the pharmacist I wanted to be because of the experiences and all the things that the pharmacists right before me talked about, that one-on-one experience, the professors, the dedication, the commitment, and also that community that we got to build at KGI. I mean, I still keep in touch with most of my classmates, most of the classes after me that graduated as well. We get to see each other from time to time. And so that's a privilege to be able to have that community, kind of like you do at your community college. And so my responsibilities now, there's a lot. This is the easiest way to describe what I do, which is all of those things there. So my focus as a pharmacist is to help other pharmacists train in whatever areas they need. So giving them the tools and abilities to directly take care of patients. So I myself don't work with patients anymore, but I have the privilege of making sure all my peers have access to the tools, resources, conversations so that they can better take care of the patients, they can better do the research, they can better get access to the funding that they need, so that way patients get the care that they absolutely deserve. In addition to that, I get to plan conferences where we bring pharmacists together. Western Pharmacy Exchange, where actually the last time I saw Dr. Sababaniel was over there. School relations, I work with the different schools of pharmacy in California. I have a program where I have students on rotation with me to help them understand what pharmacy has to offer, and so many more other things that I can happily go into more details if we want later on. But this is kind of the overview, and as my title and my role as executive director of the CPHA Foundation, working on grants and working on scholarships to help, again, promote the profession of pharmacy. So that's the overview. The other part that I love about my job is the fact that I get to ask myself this question every single day. Where is pharmacy headed next? What do we need to do to make sure we're ready for that? And also bring all the smart people together so that they can have those conversations of exactly what resources they need, what conversations we have to have, and also maybe just what education we need to provide to make sure that we can get there. And so with that, one of the coolest parts of my job that I got to do, which was also probably my most nerve-wracking piece, is I actually got to testify in front of the California Senate. I testified for a bill on behalf of pharmacy to make sure that we can vaccinate for COVID-19. So it was a privilege to be a part of that, to make sure that pharmacists were able to vaccinate for COVID-19, because let's be real, without pharmacists and pharmacy, we would not be doing what we're doing now. We would not be maskless. We would not be meeting in person. We would go back to probably where we were about 2-3 years ago, which I don't want ever for any of us. But to be able to testify in front of the Senate was a privilege, and get to meet a lot of great legislators who are, again, making those decisions on how healthcare works. So that's another privilege of the role that I play now, kind of being that face or that representative pharmacy to those that are making decisions for what we do. So quick overview. I'll stop there and I'll pass it back over to Johnny, but happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you. I love the fact that we've got, the clinical pharmacists, we've got this one here in legislation, we've got the pharmaceutical industry. Dr. Veja, do you feel like at any point you might end up as a clinical pharmacist or doing like patient care, anything, or do you feel like you're where you need to be and you're just going to keep just taking on the world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the one privilege of being a pharmacist is you can always pivot your career at any time, right? So if tomorrow I decide, hey, this has been great, and I decide to go back and work in the hospital setting, it's a possibility, and I may consider that. My philosophy has always been, I want to be somewhere where I'm doing the most good. And I think the role that I have in the area that I'm in, I feel like I can do the most good for the profession and our community. So I don't foresee myself moving out of it anytime soon. I love it too much. I wake up every day excited to go into work. But it's definitely an option still.
Awesome. Okay, now
I think if he has 2 jobs, and if he's really bored, I'm sure he could go moonlight somewhere.
Exactly, right? You need a 3rd job or 4th job.
I mean, he still has his license, and so I think he'll be fine with that. But I think what is it? Balance and recovery and all that stuff. I have a question. You said that you worked as a pharmacy tech. How do you think that helped you decide if that pharmacy was the right direction for you? And then the other follow-up question is, how do you become a pharmacy tech? Like, what's the magic secret?
So, to answer the first question in terms of being a pharmacy tech and how did it help me for pharmacy school, I was a pharmacy technician for about 7 years before I went to pharmacy school, and that helped me with the basics of understanding drug names, how to pronounce them, the brand and generics, the doses of the drugs. So when I got into pharmacy school, I actually didn't spend a lot of time trying to learn that piece because I have been doing that for 7 years, right? So if you put a vial of Lasix in front of me, I could tell you exactly what milligrams it'll often come in, what color the label is, and everything. So I think in terms of being comfortable with the medications and the terminology of pharmacy, the language of pharmacy, I think that helped me tremendously. And then the second part of that, in terms of becoming a pharmacy technician, I went through an ROP program in my senior year of high school, which was a pharmacy technician program for communities. Some community colleges offer pharmacy technician programs, but also you can take a national exam. If you pass the exam, that also qualifies you to be a technician as well. And so there's a few different pathways to do that. And one of the other benefits of being a technician for me was obviously as I was working part-time going to school, I was able to save some money that helped me pay towards my tuition, both for my undergrad, and then save up a little bit of money for pharmacy school as well. And so when I was a pharmacy technician, and this might be dated a little bit because this was back in like 2014 when this was happening, but the average pay of a technician, you're looking at somewhere between $20 to $30 an hour, depending on what your responsibilities are, if you're in the inpatient or outpatient setting, which also was a stepping stone for me to, again, be comfortable enough in pharmacy school.
Awesome. Okay, so hey, we have one more question for Dr. Veja. Simon Thomas asks, can you, what did you get? What associates did you say you earned, and why did you choose chemistry for your undergrad?
That's a great question. So my associates that I got from pharmacy school or from community college, and it was by just happenstance, I was planning to transfer in as a chemistry major to wherever I was going to go. I decided I wanted to major in chemistry, and my prerequisites for that qualified me for a associates in mathematics, economics, and chemistry. And so those are the three that I got because I pretty much had taken the classes, and it was a matter of filling out the paperwork to say that I got the degree. And chemistry I chose for two reasons. The first reason, I'm stubborn. Chemistry was the hardest subject I had in high school. And because something was challenging, because I felt like it was almost beating me, I wanted to understand it more, right? So that was the first part of it, was I'm stubborn and I wanted to learn more about chemistry. But the second part of it was, as I took that time to learn about chemistry, I realized it was the basis, the foundation for everything else that I was going to do in my life, right? I knew I wanted to help patients. I wanted to work in some sort of healthcare setting because I wanted to make sure patients could live happier, healthier, and safer lives. And so for me to be even able to do that, I need to understand chemistry, right? The chemical nature of how things work is how life works, right? It's biology, it's everything else. And so if I could do that, I could do anything else from it.
Very good. I love that. I love to hear that you say you're stubborn and that's what pushes you. I mean, hey, you gotta be looking, we got to be looking at the youth of today and seeing those stubborn ones and being like, yeah, we're going to push you and you're going to use this to your advantage. I really love that. Okay. We had Cindy Camberos. She said, I'm interested in doing pharmacy, but I love patient interaction. Which pharmacy specialty would allow the most direct patient care? And I'll allow whoever wants to unmute on that one, but what specialty allows the most patient care?
I could probably speak to that actually, because I'm seeing patients every day,
Yep.
almost every day. So it's more, I guess, limited than say a physician would be, but if there's ever anything I'm wondering about when I'm looking at a patient's chart, reviewing their antimicrobials, sometimes they say, the story isn't clear. Let me go talk to the patient, or let me go see that wound. And so I just walk up to the patient's room and I start talking to them. A big area of intervention that we have in pharmacy is allergies, because I think 10% of the population says that they have a penicillin allergy, when in reality, it's only about like 1% maybe that has like a true allergy to penicillins. I had a rash with penicillin as a kid. I mean, it doesn't mean that I have an allergy to penicillin now. And so we do what's called penicillin allergy challenging. So I'll go up and talk to the patients, clarify their allergy history, and then provide that education and say, it's highly unlikely that you have a true penicillin allergy based on these factors. And we'd actually like to challenge an allergy here in the hospital, which is basically we give them a small dose of amoxicillin. And if they tolerate that, we can take their allergy off of their list. And it's probably one of my favorite parts of being an ID pharmacy, because it's kind of like I get to enlighten them. They're like, oh, I didn't know this. Like I spent my whole life fearing, penicillins and taking that, when in reality, penicillins are a great class of antibiotics, and they're first line for a lot of infections. Safer than a lot of other antibiotic options. And so that's, I think in the last month, I've maybe challenged like 3 or 4 at the very least. And I've looked at a lot of wounds and stuff too. I get to work with infectious diseases doctors, and from our physician who's the head of our antimicrobial stewardship program, he helped kind of train me in patient assessment as well. So I can speak the same language as physicians. So I'm talking to patients, examining their wounds, getting an idea of their story, and then I can go and talk to the physicians, come from their perspective as well, because it's really important that we understand, as Rajan was saying, like the chemistry or, the physiology of these disease states, why they happen, because that really plays a big part in like the efficacy of our antibiotics, like if they're actually going to get to the site to treat the infection or not. But I would definitely say, yeah, with clinical pharmacy in the hospital is probably like the biggest area for one of the biggest areas for patient care, I think. And even working just in internal medicine, for example, when you have a decentralized pharmacy model, which is where you have a pharmacist on the floor with the patients that they're covering, they get to round with physicians every day. They go and they talk to patients, maybe counsel on discharge medications, go and ask them once again, allergies, other things. So a lot of opportunity there. I'd also say community pharmacy is a big area. I mean, that's all patient interaction, right? And that's actually, speaking of where pharmacy is heading next, something that really excites me is expanding opportunity for point of care testing in the community setting. And really just because we have so many pharmacies that are within short range of patients, that they could just go there and get tested for different infections. And I think that there's just like a lot of opportunity that's developing there for you to have a really direct impact on the patient's care even before they get to the point of needing to go to the hospital. So I'd say those two areas, but I don't know if Carolyn or Rajan have anything to add.
Would you guys like to add anything?
I mean, I kind of just want to add into what Dr. DeSense was saying. There's a lot of specialty you could go into in regards to clinical pharmacy. So Dr. DeSense working in infectious disease, and also as an intern, when you're a student, you are an intern. You can work as an intern pharmacist while you're a student. So you get to work like a technician if you want to, part-time in either a hospital or a community pharmacy. During my experience, when I was working as an intern in UCLA, we have a decentralized pharmacy. So I was able to shadow the pharmacist as an intern into kind of rounding with other clinicians like nurses, NPs, doctors. So that's definitely, clinical pharmacy has definitely a lot of stems to it. And of course, as Dr. DeSense mentioned, community pharmacy is heavy patient interaction. So.
And the one other thing I'll just add really quickly, I think also with COVID and everything from 2020, it's also changed the way we deliver care, right? So there's the direct patient care. When we think of direct patient care, I think of me having that quality time, one-on-one time with the patient, right? Whether it's in the same room, whether it's on a video call or other things like that. So there's other opportunities within pharmacy as well, where you can be a consultant pharmacist, or you can be a pharmacist specializing in a certain area as an ambulatory care pharmacist, where you're working with patients one-on-one, helping them through their disease state, maybe diabetes, maybe a cholesterol, and other areas as well. And you can have that relationship and a long-lasting relationship as well. So sometimes it's in the hospital while they're there for hopefully a short amount of time, or if they're afterwards when they're discharged and now they've been diagnosed with diabetes, and you need to help navigate that for the next, their entire life, but most likely in the next few months, helping them understand how to take their insulin, how to take their shot, and all of that. So I think that's the other piece of it that I'll just highlight to add on is we as pharmacists take care of patients from hopefully before they get sick with preventative care, while they're sick in an inpatient hospital or surgery center or whatever it may be, and then afterwards to make sure that they heal as well. So throughout that entire process, you have that patient interaction opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Now, that last question that was asked about your associate's degree, I want to circle back for a second. I want to make sure everybody that is interested in going from community college to the KGI Doctor of Pharmacy program, you realize that you do not need a specific AA, you just need to fulfill the prerequisites. Now, because you are going to be so close to being able to get your AA degree, I would still say make sure that you're taking all those classes so you also have your associate's degree. However, I'll be sending over this PowerPoint. It has a list of all the prerequisites, and I've never really gone through one by one through the community colleges to see what kind of degree that actually almost comes to, but it probably actually does in like biology and some type of applied life sciences. But it is not exactly, the amount of classes needed to get that associate degree. So, all right, moving on, we have Callista D. Lorenzo asked, I am currently getting my license to be a pharmacy technician. So I was wondering what your favorite part of your pharmacy technician experience is. So, Dr. DeSenz and Dr. Saba, were you pharmacy techs originally? No? Okay.
Yeah, different.
Okay, so this goes to Dr. Veja and to me, but I'll let you start. What was your favorite part of that experience?
I'm going to cheat a little bit and say I didn't have one favorite part. I had two favorite parts. So my first favorite part of it was it, and for every pun intended, the technical piece of being a pharmacy technician, right? Being in the IV room, learning how to make IVs, understanding which medication mixed with which medication, which one medication did not mix with medication, being specific, being exact, getting the measurements and making the actual medication that was then going to the patient and helping them heal, right? So I think that was the first piece of being a pharmacy technician that I loved. The second piece of it, what I really loved, was understanding how healthcare worked as a whole, right? So understanding when a patient comes into the hospital, when they're admitted and they need medications, what does that process look like? The physician sees them, diagnoses them, says, hey, this patient has this disease, we need this medication. Then the pharmacist making sure that it's the right medication for that patient, making sure that no other drugs were interacting with that, and seeing that entire piece and being able to be a part of that process was probably my most gratifying piece that inspired me to want to be a pharmacist, right? Because I got to be a direct part of that. So sorry to take two answers instead of one, but I think it's the technical piece initially, and then my passion from pharmacy came from understanding how I can help that patient get through the process.
I love that. I love that. For me, I don't know that I really always realized this as I was working in the pharmacy, but I really think my favorite experience was really watching families grow. And literally, having worked for Kaiser for 8 years, just watching a family and children become, maybe teenagers, and really getting to know their family and being a part of their lives. And I loved that, the friendship and the community that we built. And I also think, since Dr. Veja got to say two, I'm going to come up with two as well. What I really found out that I was really good at working with some of the really toughest patients. And it took some time to understand that, there were so many people struggling. Maybe they were in the middle of some major problem, some major healthcare disease, and or they were just really very ill at the time from the flu. And when they come in, you didn't always get to see them at their best. And sometimes you saw them at their worst, and you had to find all that compassion and empathy and realize that, this is what you were there for, was to take care of these people. And I think that that's always been the part of healthcare, about being kind, caring, and compassionate, knowing how to communicate well, but also learning how not to react to maybe somebody that was really struggling and came across very tough. But I found that I was really good at getting to their heart, and pretty soon they were asking for Johnny Lacey. And it wasn't always easy. Everybody be like, yeah, there's Johnny right there. We're going to run in the back. Anyway, so that was mine.
The only thing that I would add is it's in most of healthcare, and I have a couple of friends that work as pharmacy techs. And so if you don't like interacting with people day to day, like mixing cancer drugs in the IV room, that's what one of my friends does. Another one in the hospital, they go and fill all the pharmacy, the dispensing machines, and that's one thing that they do. But if you like people, work in retail pharmacy as a pharmacy tech, and there's a lot of various jobs. But ultimately, you want to get to pharmacy school. So hopefully you don't have this ability to work various pharmacy tech jobs and you get into pharmacy school. So I guess that's the only thing that I would add.
I agree.
That's if that's your goal, to be a pharmacist, of course.
Awesome. Well, if there's not any more questions, I will be emailing the PowerPoint in a PDF version so that you've got all the information. I did make a mistake by stating that PharmCast applications would be open till the end of this month. It does look like they closed out on the 1st. Last year they pushed it out. So if you guys are looking to apply, there could be opportunities. You can get in touch with PharmCast, or you can get in touch with me. But we really enjoyed our time here today. I wanted to thank Dr. DeSanz, Dr. Veja, Dr. Saba Avenil, and also Mr. Afshar. Thank you so much for having us. And hopefully we'll see you at KGI or one of our summer programs. Like I said, we've got seats left for the pharmacy enrichment program. They go for 5 days. It's only a few hours per day. If Claremont's too far of a drive, do the online one. And one of these days, I look forward to meeting you face to face at KGI. Until then, I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. And Jubin, did you want to end with anything?
No, just thanks for everyone for making it.